we want manufacturing back in the U.S. That's been a goal for Democrats and Republicans for the last 10, 15 years. There's maybe 4 or 5 gigawatts of cell capacity right now in the U.S., but 50 gigawatts or more of assembly capacity.
We're here at PV ModuleTech, and I have the honor of having a chance to talk with one of the industry's longest standing executive pioneers. Arndt Lutz has been in the industry all the way back to 2005 in Germany, when that country kind of set the standard for what it looks like to have a solar renaissance. Arndt, thank you for taking the time to come over and chat with us at SunCast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. So you've seen how this industry has evolved all the way, you were at REC Group, you have worked on the development side with Scatec, you've worked in hydrogen with Nel, and now you're back at Elite Solar doing manufacturing of solar panels and cells, supplying around the world. Everyone is aware here in America that, how we get, what kind of treatment we get in Washington is going to matter to the future of this industry. So I think it'd be interesting to get perspective from someone who has seen how other countries have dealt with this kind of trade, and from the perspective of a manufacturer who has the opportunity to set up manufacturing here. What's missing in order to truly exploit a domestic manufacturing opportunity here in the U.S.?
Well, in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a huge amount of module assembly factories that have been installed and put together. I think Texas has probably 30 gigawatts of module installation or module assembly capacity.
Yep.
What really is missing is the cell.
Yeah.
And the cell is the heart of the solar panel. It's the engine that creates the output, basically.
That's right.
So, to my knowledge, there's very few players that have actually set up cell manufacturing in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're very close to announcing a partnership with someone here in the U.S. to produce cells in the United States. And it's something that has to happen to close the gap between all this module assembly capacity and the actual cell capacity. So again, there's maybe 4 or 5 gigawatts of cell capacity right now in the U.S., but 50 gigawatts or more of assembly capacity.
And what makes cell manufacturing so hard? Why is it the last sort of Lego in the construction here?
Well, cell manufacturing is difficult because it's a chemical process. You need a lot of power going into a building that will then run the equipment and run all the support systems to support this chemical process. You need a lot of water, a lot of capacity for wastewater as well. And there are very few buildings and places in the United States that actually support this kind of manufacturing.
Right.
And as you can imagine, if the place doesn't have permits in place already from some previous industrial endeavor, it's going to take long. It's going to take probably 2, 3, 4 years to get permits in place to manufacture cells. So those are some of the challenges.
Yeah, you had a chance to work in around the world in places that don't have the policy benefit, but nevertheless have been able to scale, like Germany. Mm-hmm. With an seemingly inevitable sunset of the ITC, where do you see opportunities for the industry to focus on policies that truly will drive down the rest of the cost? And what did that look like in other places?
Yeah, as an example, in Germany, they did something that I thought was very smart. The government basically said every solar developer has the right to connect to the grid.
Oh, yeah.
So you basically turn around the situation where in the U.S., if you're a developer, you have to pay the utility a lot of money, millions of dollars in some cases, to do interconnection studies, to apply for grid connections. Mm-hmm. In Germany, they turned everything around when they started the business there in the early 2000s.
Right.
And you had a right to connect to the grid.
Yeah.
That made things very quick, and it basically sent a very clear signal to the German utilities that they better open up and allow solar energy into the grid.
It makes sense. What about permitting? Is that an area where we can actually make some headway?
Of course, permitting in the U.S. is a difficult subject because you have state, local, federal permits that you have to work with. It's not really streamlined. It takes too long. It's too expensive. And because you have so many stakeholders, you end up fighting, I guess, on too many different fronts.
Yeah.
So somehow streamlining it, making it more efficient would also be a huge benefit to the industry, and it would bring down the cost of solar development and further bring down the cost of solar energy, which already is the cheapest source of electricity in the United States and globally.
And globally, yeah. So you pointed out interconnection, you pointed out permitting, and both of those, if you think about roughly 26-30% cost of the ITC as it steps down, I think the next step is going to be somewhere in the teens. It would make sense then that if we could eliminate the interconnection cost entirely, a right to interconnect, the same way my home state of North Carolina did under the PURPA rules for 5 megawatt plants and below. I mean, even in that little sort of seemingly small market of 5 megawatts, North Carolina became the second largest state for solar deployment in the United States. It can have that quick an impact on deployment. And those are all jobs. It's been proven that if you can increase the amount of projects, it vastly improves the number of jobs over manufacturing. And I want to get back to manufacturing because cell manufacturing is not something that's new to the U.S. We've had cell manufacturing here with Wacker and Hemlock, and now we've got some of your peers already setting up cells. We've got ES Foundry in South Carolina. Are there unexpected headwinds that you might face with the way the legislation is going?
I think the biggest problem is uncertainty around how the final tax bill will look like once it gets approved and has gone its way through Congress. 45X is an important part of this, the manufacturing tax credit. There's a tax credit that basically provides support for module assembly, but also for cell manufacturing. And without knowing what the tax bill will ultimately say, it's basically making it difficult for players like us to say, okay, this is what the law says, and this is what we can work with. So, I mean, we want manufacturing back in the U.S. That's been a goal for Democrats and Republicans for the last 10, 15 years. They've been trying to get manufacturing back into the U.S. So they have to provide certainty about the credits that we as an industry can expect.
Yeah. And on the heels of that, I suppose much of that is what you might say to my home state Senator Tom Tillis. Is there anything that you would add there if you had an audience with him?
I would tell him that Texas was very successful in becoming, I think, probably the largest solar manufacturing state, and also the state that deploys the most solar year over year and cumulative. And they did this by making it easy, no permitting, basically, very little permitting to set up factories, to set up large utility scale solar farms. So for North Carolina, I would say the same thing. Basically, make it easy, provide an expedited permitting process, and keep in mind that you're dealing with a chemical industry when you're making cells. So we need the state to provide sites that have water, wastewater, and power. And I think that's something that your state senator could do to basically bring industry into North Carolina and start manufacturing in North Carolina.
Fascinating. Arndt, thank you so much for your time and appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.